Chris switches into defense mode, and I learned some bit of Chris Chan lore that I had never heard of before. All of that happened this week on the Chris Chan update. So, first I have to talk about something that's a couple months old, but that I had never heard of, and that is the existence of Bundychu, the Ted Bundy Sonichu, created January 17th, 2018. Chris Chan believes that Ted Bundy, the notorious serial killer and rapist and necrophile, was innocent and is in fact a Sonichu. Now, this idea was originally pitched to Chris by the idea guy who was a troll, but even though Chris now knows that the idea guy was a troll, he still believes that Ted Bundy is innocent because magi-chan told him so. Here we have a tweet from Chris. It is not idea guy. It is fact that Bundy was framed. It was even mentioned in the Wikipedia article, not to mention that I have also talked with his reincarnated soul in his Sonichu form, Bundychu. Also, in the past year, he has been a very good and loyal soldier. Oh my god! I'm sorry, it's just the idea of Ted Bundy as a Pikachu, as a Sonic. So after that little detour, where Chris was defending Ted Bundy, there's a new Ted Bundy documentary on Netflix, so this is why this came up again. So after that little detour, Chris went back to complaining that he's blocked by all of his favorite people on Twitter, and so he wrote, I feel sad and depressed. Thanks for forcing me to do what I did after everyone blocked me, and a bunch of crying faces. I'm assuming, thanks for forcing me to do what I did, I'm assuming he means doxed, where he just sort of told all of his Twitter followers who the people who were blocked him were. I wouldn't really call that doxing, but Chris seems to think that just saying someone's name is doxing. Anyway, he continues, and he calls this the worst week ever to my body, mind, and emotions. Blocked by more of those I like and appreciated. I am not going to cry or have a tantrum, just more apologies to issue. If I did not have the greater destiny and all, I would probably just die from all the rejection. So that is something to mention, is that Chris has obviously found some sort of meaning in his life in this dimensional merge. Prior, Chris had found meaning in his life in his goal to have a daughter. He had always wanted a daughter named Crystal, because he had a dream where he met his future daughter. And that's actually one of the reasons that on his love poster, his love quest sign, he said that his future wife must be white, because in his dream he saw that his daughter was white, and therefore whoever his wife was that is to conceive the child with must also be white. So Chris has always used weird dreams and prophecies and stuff to give him meaning in life, to push forward. And even though that might be keeping him going to a degree, it's obviously bad for him. It's sort of like it's keeping him from realizing his actual full potential, but at the same time it's also keeping him from falling into oblivion. So who knows whether it's actually good or bad or not. But he does continue. Even more shocking. My neighbor across the street from me shouted angrily at me, blaming me for his child questioning their gender identity. This happened Thursday. More stress and anxiety on top of all the other chaos and drama. How do you think I am feeling, bad trolls? How do you all, each and every one of you all, think I am feeling? I'm not asking for sympathy or pity. Yes, you are. You are consistently asking for sympathy and pity, Chris. Go on about your lives. Chris keeps telling us to make everyone who blocked him unblock him, and now he's like, well, I'm not asking for pity, or all you have to do is go about your life. Emmanuel, please get my body to C-197 now. This 1218 world is becoming all too much for me, soul, and mind and body. That is terrifying. So, the previous message, he said he would die from everything that's going on, and now he's asking to leave this world and go to the next world. And that is terrifying. Like, that's terrifying. Chris then proceeded to actually go on a tantrum, just like he said he would not, and he started tweeting lay epic random XD things, such as, if you would like to see this slip of scum sleep for the night, dial 963 on your speed dial, while looking for granola in the bottom of the ocean with humpback whales while wearing Mario frog suits provided by Lumberjack Incorporated, ugh. Someone then posted him a link to Coping with Depression, And Chris said, "I'm not depressed. I'm brain fried with the side of no sleep parsnips. Hee hee. No sleep parsnips. For those times you want to stay awake for 78 hours straight, or just accidentally want to not be able to fall asleep and have a nightmare. Stress Co., the home of very scary and wake up products." So Chris was unable to sleep, and I'm assuming he might have not taken his medication this night. Obviously, he's going completely, crazy. His next tweets, and you have to read these from the bottom up because that's how Twitter works, is, "You can buy corn and rice with turnips at the shoe store with termites. For $1, we'll make everyone holler with a nickel for admission." So, he's having some sort of mania episode, and he's not sleeping, both of which are symptoms of him not taking his pills, either because the pills aren't having their effect, or because he's having some sort of withdrawal from them. Tonight's order of fried brains has been brought to you by Harmony Aroma Dancers of Pizza Joe in Lumbago, Nicaragua. Random isms are also brought to you by Harmony Aroma Dancers of New York, in Zimbabwe, and Cucamonga. Yee-hee. Enjoy marshmallows and jelly beans in your strawberry jam and Parmesan pizza pie, made with the help of the Eskimos and rubber chickens. Bon appetit and headaches. And then I love the next comment. It's just, Chris has officially lost it. And yeah, but the thing is that in this case, obviously I think that Chris is acting. Like, he might be having a bad night where he's upset, but he's sort of throwing the tantrum that, a 6-year-old might throw, where he's pretending to be crazy, right? Like, oh, what would a crazy person say? A crazy person would throw together a random jumble of nonsense words. So I'm going to pretend that I'm crazy to show them that my brain is quote-unquote fried from all the harassment that's going on in his life. So I think that he's basically faking being crazy in these tweets for attention, and that's all. So I really have no sympathy and do not care that his brain is fried from being blocked by people on Twitter that he was harassing. Some stuff does happen later in the week, but as far as this episode goes, I could not care less. Now, the next tweet is actually concerning, and it goes back to what I was just talking about, where Chris said he wanted to die. He says, "Okay, now I feel closer to," and then a bunch of crying faces. "I hope you all are happy with yourselves now. Congratulations." And this comes after another person said, "Don't ever contact my friends ever again, you monster. You're disgusting. Don't you dare try to play the victim. You are not the victim. You are scum." So, okay, now I feel closer to ... crying faces. I hope that just means sadness. He feels closer to depression. He feels closer to hitting his head on the wall. But along with these other two messages of him explicitly saying he wanted to die, and him asking God to take him to the other universe, I am actually scared that Chris might harm himself in some way. His next message is, "It only took 4.5 years since the last time for everyone's combined internet abuse efforts to break me again. I'm on no sleep tonight, and melatonin's not working either." So, the internet is, quote-unquote, breaking him again. He says it's been 4.5 years since the last time. Again, I would like to interpret this as the internet, quote-unquote, breaking him, and I really don't want it to mean that it's been 4.5 years since the last time he's considered suicide. Because that's, this is a no-win situation for anyone involved. In this scenario, Chris is not actually being trolled. It would be one thing if this was the Teen Troon Squad or the Idea Guy or even Clyde Cash or someone who was trolling Chris and causing him to be upset. But it's not. He's being blocked on Twitter. People blocking Chris on Twitter is not wrong. It is not unethical to block Chris on Twitter for any reason. And yet if it's leading him to feel this way, it's having a negative consequence. So it's just a total no-win situation. Because he's kind of holding you hostage with his own, possible self-harm. He's holding you hostage to not block him. And that's just, it's a sign of psychopathy. But it's not a good situation. And I really don't have another way to say that. And obviously I'm just quite flustered by this whole topic, which is why I'm not really articulating myself as well as I normally do. And I'm scared for Chris's health. Obviously, there's a chance that he's just pretending and making this all up for attention, but, I personally err on the side of caution for anything, especially things like this. Chris says, all I was doing was telling the truth. That has been happening for real in our OC's actual dimension. Not even a fourth wall breaking pizza could handle the truth. Chris, what does that mean? Go ahead and shoot this goddess down. I'll just respawn over and over, so y'all can tear me up into infinity, because I'm scum. Crying faces. So the scum is referring to the girl who blocked him and called him scum. But again, with this, you can shoot me, you can tear me down, I'll just respawn. This kind of language could just be Chris saying, oh, I'll keep getting back up again every time I'm shot down. But it's also death imagery, it's suicide imagery. We have to actually consider the possibility that Chris thinks that because he believes he's a goddess, or because he believes in this other dimension, that is basically his version of heaven, that he thinks that if he dies, he might not actually die. Which is, again, not okay. Like, if I had any amount of clout or power to my name, I would try to contact someone with these messages and tell them that Chris might hurt himself. Not for trolling reasons, but actually because I care about his well-being. But I don't know how to do that, and obviously I can't, like, go to his counselor or the police or anything. I guess people could, file a police report about all this, but it's, I don't live in Virginia. It's harder when you're out of state. Especially since I personally don't know where he lives. I know that Chris's address is out there somewhere, but I don't know where he lives and I don't want to. He keeps calling himself scum. I'm freaking scum, and I'm being torn apart. Go ahead, I created a respawn generator in the secret rift. Just go ahead and tear me up more. I deserve it for being the monster since 2007. The haters are the heroes of the world in 1218. Hoorah, crying faces. It's upsetting. It really is upsetting to hear this kind of stuff. He's talking about his sleep again. The only thing got through to me in that is no sleep, headaches, more needless stress, and I am really not feeling well. I feel sick, throwing up faces. I hope it was worth it to make me sick, because before this chaos, I was not harassing anyone. The bad trolls and haters were doing that. And he is partially correct in that bad trolls and haters were harassing people, but Chris was also stalking people online, so I'm not gonna say that he was completely innocent. There was one particular Twitter user who stole the identity of Liquid Chris. He's naming himself Liquid Chew 420. That is not a good account. He basically called me a white knight because I said I didn't want Chris to kill himself. So Chris ended up blocking that person, which I think was a good move. And I think that Chris should block other people who are actually trolling him like that. So, I do not deserve the hatred and being blocked. They do. Stop the hate. Throwing up faces and then a weird gif. I am being misblocked for the wrongest of reasons. So he's just really obsessed with being blocked. Now, the next day, Chris apparently was feeling a little better, and he says, hey, I'm feeling fair. I got a bunch of sleep, so at least I'm rested. Headaches. And then the gif of the girl running into the brick wall. Now, after this comes a questionable tweet, and I say questionable because I don't know if Chris wrote it. Now, there's evidence for and against it, and I'm going to lay that out now. So, this series of tweets is not written in the normal style that Chris writes tweets in. It does not have random capitalizations, and the sentence structure is nothing like what he normally does. However, it mentions something called a coal town. Chris later in the week released a video in which he mentioned the coal town, and I'm going to take a look at that later. So as far as I'm concerned, there's like a 50-50 chance that Chris didn't actually write this, but someone with access to his account did. So I'm going to read through this. It's going to be a lot of nonsense, but at least it's more fun to hear about than the possible suicide. He says, on a more positive note, after waking at the alarm a little while ago, I linked with my soul in Coal Town. The analysts' OCs practice and work on weekends from 8 a.m. to about 6 or 8 p.m. They do their jobs and artwork the rest of the week. Anyway, I just got in a good streak of kills. I saw Sweetie coming, disguises myself as KP and told her about how I did the thing and got everyone distracted up ahead. She followed me into a dead-end part of town. Oopsie, must have made a wrong turn. Zap blade. Then I saw Golden Fox above. Thought I'd do something different. I changed into Lightning Bliss. He does always have his eyes on Key. Hey Goldie, I lost Key. Can you help me? While he was distracted pointing out where she was, Zap Blade. Ha! I'll get you next time, Christine. Then I ran down and slipped into disguise. Key, I got knocked out by the red team spy. I had to rush to find you again. Wow, Goldie Bear, you really look beat up. I'm sorry what happened to you. I snuck a Zap Blade when she wasn't looking. Bliss came out with an, oh ho, spy coming in for kills, huh? I slipped a Thunder Wave during her speech to disable her GAT. Slipped out of my disguise. Then she tried to shoot, but nothing. Let me help you refill your ammo and health. Ha, you got me good, Christine. Zap Blade. I step out of the building, when Maddie comes along. Wow, you're really getting in your kills, Chris. Keep up the good work. My quick senses tingled. Spy check with a Thunder Wave. Revealed, Thespio. Nice try, Thespi. It was well worth it. Zap Blade. Then, seconds later, hit to my head. I look up to see Golden Fox with that smirk on his face. You really got me, I shouted to him before fainting, then respawning. There's a good feel when respawning. It is like a virgin morning... What? It is like a virgin morning breath as it happens. Then I set out again. Then my brain unlinks. And now I, the body, get to tell everyone a bit of what happened in Equestrial's Coal Town today. I may be slow, but my soul is lightning quick in wit and thought process. Lightning Heart Lightning, hashtag Team Fortress 2, hashtag Analysis Anarchy. It's only a combat simulation and good fun. At the end of the day, we enjoy a good laugh and head down to the secret rift for a cooldown. So, there's a couple things that make me think this isn't Chris. For one, he's not writing it the way he normally does. He doesn't have the weird capitalization. I've never seen him use quotes before. I've never seen him tell a story with dialogue in it like that. And obviously, most of this is centered around Team Fortress 2, which is not a game I've ever seen him talk about or play. However, it is obviously very popular. So if this was written by the captain or whoever wrote that magi-chan docs, it would make a lot more sense. However, it's possible that it is real, because Chris later in a video, and I already said this, but Chris did mention the Coal Town, meaning that at least the Coal Town part of it is something that Chris actually believes. Also, it would totally help my theory that a lot of Chris's belief in the other dimension is because of his dreams. He's saying that he was woken up by his alarm clock, and then he linked to the other dimension and had this sort of practice skirmish. Personally, I don't believe the alarm clock part. I think that this was actually just part of a dream that he was having. He may have woken up and rolled over and had a lucid dream about his experience in Coal Town. He's talking to these people that he obsesses with when he's awake, like Golden Fox and Bliss, and I have no idea who these people are, but I'm assuming that they're OCs and other characters. And in this dream, he has Zap Blade, which is, I'm assuming, some sort of Sonichu move, and he talks about Thunderbolt and or Thunder Wave, which is a Pokemon move. So I think that what he just told us was a dream that he had, and that really does back up my theory. Because otherwise, Chris is just making it up. And I don't believe that. For whatever reason, I don't think that he has the capacity to make it up. If Chris was making something up, it would be as obvious as it was before when he was pretending to have a breakdown. So that's sort of why I believe that he's not making it up. So if this was not written by the captain or whoever has access to his Twitter account, then I think it's evidence that Chris is dreaming about the other dimension. Chris then talks about the fact that there are imposters on Twitter who are pretending to be him and sending messages to other people as him, which is true, but usually they're actually quite easy to spot, so just don't fall for that. Another point that I feel needs bringing up, there are imposter accounts on Twitter who have been pretending to be me and harassing the good people as well. I feel it advised. The remaining brony analysts... Is this analysts? Yeah, that is what he's saying. I don't know what a brony analyst is. I don't know if that's a real thing in the brony community, or if that's a weird Chris Chan thing. The remaining brony analysts reading this, to check with everyone who supposed got harassing and hate messages and commentary from me, when really it was one of those bugbear imposters. I'm using bugbear as an umbrella term for the haters, harassers, and all bad trolls. They are just as annoying. Anyhow, everyone should check the Chris Chan who did harass unto them, because highly likely it was not from me at all. @Quick Sonichu is me. I have no intention of changing my own main account at all. Those with similar such as Real Quick Sonichu, CW_True, Liquid Shoot 420, at Quick Sonichu 1, at Quick Sonichu, etc., and so forth and similar, they are all not me. I admit I have only 2 alt accounts, at Nightstar2891, and that other one that I seriously cannot recall its name at all. Someone might remember. It had the avatar of Twilight Sparkle and a disco jacket, maybe sunglasses. And magi-chan long string of numbers, I did personally help create with and for my hubby. There are absolutely no other Twitter accounts under my own creation and or control. Point is, if it is not from Quick Sonichu, then it is not me. If you were recently victimized by an imposter, then misguidedly blocked me, you definitely blocked me for the wrongest of reasons and misintentions. In which event, I would appreciate being unblocked. Chris, they can't read this because they blocked you. So as I've been saying, Chris is really doing damage control. And he keeps switching between doing damage control and just going out on rants and tantrums. So he'll say something like, "Y'all's abusive, reckless, needless, and downright offensive imagery and commentary are one thing that simply drives me crazy and crazier. If I never had to deal with all of your blackmail, deceit, and BS since 2007, I would not be so crazy to target you bugbears back. You all think I'm not tired of countering all of you for coercing and deceiving others into misguided fear and hatred of me, and very outdated reputation. You all keep on bugging and bopping me and everyone else in harassment after harassment? I am tired, and as much as I would admire to live my life, I simply cannot in good conscience and subconscious, that's not what that means, Chris, of both this mind and my soul, leave with everyone." Oh my god. He's saying he can't leave without... He's saying he can't leave because everyone has wrong, misguided ideas of him, which is kind of egotistical and also ridiculous because he's not going anywhere because the other dimension doesn't exist. So, this is just Chris complaining again, but then he'll say things like, "Also think, it is one thing to follow after someone famous you like, but after you've graced their views with kindness, supportive commentary, not abusing them with outdated NSFW gifts or overzealous flirtations at all, maybe even one simple face-to-face meet and greet. Then one online hater pretending to be you on a fake Twitter account behind your back and out of you..." Chris, these sentences do not follow each other. Anyway, he's just saying that Liquid Chris keeps pulling out stuff from the past. So Liquid Chris will post that gif of Chris having sex, and it's definitely NSFW. So, yeah, don't follow him. Don't look at that. So he just continues to complain. Making those individuals you appreciated through their works and efforts you left a positive first impression on, loathe you based on misguided fears and hatred. So he's saying that he'll build trust with someone. He'll follow someone, they might follow him, they'll talk, and then someone like this fake Liquid Chris will come along and post GIFs and screenshots of things Chris have said in the past to scare the person away. That injustice is what I seriously can and will never stand for at all. And that is why I am taking my stand against you bugbears now. You all attacked me beyond internet reach into offline territories. And then a weird GIF. So Chris just really, really sees being blocked on Twitter as like one of the worst crimes imaginable. And apparently, although it's not there anymore, he tagged someone with their personal information, which is probably just their Twitter account handle, and added it to the CIA. Because the next message he says is, "I apologize for missing the invasion of privacy part, but in all seriousness, even the US's CIA does nothing against any of the haters and harassers, those bugbears, who still torment me and everyone else, even after reporting them time after time after time after time. Nothing gets done here against the cyberbullying. That's the point I was trying to relay. If the CIA did its job, I likely would not have had problems like I had suffered last week. Chris, the CIA does not care about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is not even a crime in all states. Blocking you on Twitter is not cyberbullying. For these 3 reasons, there is absolutely no reason for you to think that the CIA is not doing its job in protecting you from people blocking you on Twitter. Cease." And then he'll just start apologizing again. I'm still working very hard to redeem myself in the eyes of those who had rejected me over the past week due to the injustices that have been brought onto them with the misguided fears from years old and cleared. Why did that have to rhyme, Chris? Yet ashamed mistakes I had made, most of which were manipulations. Some of them were, yeah, but not all of them. And those haters and harassers of yesterdecades who all still... I don't care. Chris, your writing is impossible to read. The point is that blocking you on Twitter is not bullying you. Yes, it sucks that people will dig out things from your past and make other people who you would normally have a normal, fresh relationship with not like you because of them, but at the same time, you need to understand that this is not going to stop. There are bad people out there. It is your job from this point on to protect yourself. I'm not saying this because it's what I believe, I'm saying it because it's how the world works. The CIA is not going to protect you from people posting pictures of you on Twitter. This is sort of what I said in my 3,000 subscriber Ask Me Anything video. Someone asked me, what would I tell Chris? What advice would I give Chris? What advice would I give Chris hoping that he would actually follow it? And the advice is that he would accept his position in life and through accepting it, be able to do something constructive. And him complaining on Twitter is the exact opposite of that. It's not going to solve anything, he's just working himself up, and it's making people think less of him. There's also some stupid stuff about My Little Pony, we're like over half an hour of the way through this video, no one cares. But Chris did hit his 7,000th tweet on Twitter, which is, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, with all these giant tweet threads that he goes on all the time, it was inevitable that he'd hit some ridiculously high number. I'm surprised it's not like 70,000. He's had a Twitter for many, many years, and he goes on rants like this all the time. I literally make half-an-hour videos every week just about his Twitter rants. But just to show you how much Chris really, really hates it when someone blocks him on Twitter. Good day, everyone. I have just heard through the grapevine that apparently one, who shall be noted as Kibbo, has also blocked me. I never knew of this Kibbo at all before today. Also, others also blocking me who I had never... Others also blocking me who I had also... Chris, you said also 3 times in that sentence. Also, others also blocking me who I had also never heard of before. This is only a minor shock to me. So, Chris feels a minor shock, and when he says that, he's talking about, not surprise, he means pain. He feels minor pain when people who he has never heard of block him on Twitter. And it's just completely ridiculous. And he thinks that they're only blocking him for writing on this trend or this meme, and they're being harassed by the bugbears. Which I think is a funny term that Chris has come up for his trolls. Hopefully he just uses it as a catch-all now, so he doesn't have to say the haters, harassers, and trolls anymore. He can just say bugbear. So then Chris went silent for a couple days. And in that time, Chris did what he threatened to do last week, and he put his Twitter on private. So right now, the only people who can see his tweets are people who are following him. Only people who he accepts as, friends, kind of like on Facebook, can see his tweets from now on. And if he wants, he can just block you, so you can't see it. At the moment of this recording, I am not blocked, and I can still see his tweets, but I do not expect that to last long. All someone has to do, one of the tens of thousands of people who are going to see this video, all they have to do is go to Chris and tell him that I'm a harasser, a troll, a bugbear, and he'd probably block me. Although maybe not, he's kind of lazy. But at the moment, I'm not blocked and can still see his tweets, but that could change any time the next week. So who knows how much longer this can go on for. So unfortunately, there's been quite a lot of Twitter news this week, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of just Chris, when I say ups, I usually mean things to laugh at Chris over, and when I say downs, I mean things that genuinely depress me when I think about them, because I don't want Chris to hurt himself, and it looks like that he might, but at the same time, he's being completely ridiculous, overreacting to the fact that people are blocking him on Twitter. But there is one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that's that someone pointed this out to me, so I didn't find this myself, because I am not done reading Sonichu yet. But in the most recent issue of Sonichu, I actually think that this might be pages of Sonichu that Chris is releasing one at a time, so it's not even a full issue. But in a very new issue of Sonichu, magi-chan talks about how Chris usually connects to his husbands and wives, like Mewtwo and magi-chan and Sylvana and whatever, the rest of his fake spouses. He connects to them at night, which could be possible evidence for my dream theory, which I talked about earlier in this video. So this comes to me from famous poet T.S. Eliot, who wrote The Wasteland. T.S. Eliot, I'm a big fan of your work. Thank you for sending me this tweet. Okay, so now I'm going to show you parts of the video that Chris uploaded asking people to unblock him, and there's a seriously surprising part near the end of the video, so I'm going to get to that. Here we go, let's start it.
Hello everybody, this is Christine Chandler coming to you live from home, and just addressing, you know who you are, my fellow bronies and Pegasisters who blocked me on Twitter. Just so many details. I mean, the obvious big thing, among which is the bad, outdated reputation I had that's like 12 years old nearly. Seriously. 2007, the trolls been hating on me since then. And they're the ones that they made me do all that. They deceived me, blackmailing, all that. I would never have done any of those things that I am very shameful of today if they had not gotten involved.
So Chris is saying that he would never have done the things he regrets if not for the trolls, but I really don't see how harassing kids at the game place or making an entire comic villainizing an innocent woman are the trolls' fault, Chris.
I'm just as trolled and bullied as most of y'all. I'm serious about that. I mean, and she's been on YouTube since 2012. I've been online since 2007. I could teach her how to be like Stonewall Jackson to every single troll bully, except for more recently where everybody started blocking me, and it became more and more and more and more and more and more and more, and the rejection just killed this mind in my body so much that my soul does not want to return home from CY97, where all of our OCs actually do exist, coexist, and everything. And
so that was frightening to watch. Chris is saying he doesn't want his soul to return from the other universe, which is scary based on the other things I've talked about earlier in this video. And I think that this kind of thing shows that Chris really, really believes that the other dimension exists.
Harassment. I do not harass anyone. The only things I do on Twitter are kindness and supportive type commentary. You look at my history on my one main Twitter account. Very serious about that, and I'm sorry for offending each and every one of you, but I ask, it's just, I gotta get my mental sanity back, so please unblock me. Please unblock me. I'm very, very sorry for everything, for offending each and every one of you. Super serious.
I'm just going to say that if I didn't know who Chris Chan was, but I blocked him because his followers were harassing me, and then I saw this, I would be frightened.
All those damn trolls and damn haters and harassers, they've been ruining my life since 2007! 2007! And I seriously have met each and every one of your OCs, by the way, in Equestria, in the Secret Rift, and there is a coal town in Equestria. That same coal town. And my magi-chan did set up. My husband, magi-chan Sonichu, talked with the actual Dr. Wolf and Firebrand, and I'm the Red Spy. I have been the Red Spy since at least last November, at the earliest. Or earlier than that, I forget exactly when. And I'm sure when y'all were coming up with your scripts for this new part, TF2, you must have seen the writers and Imagineers, creators, possibly Dr. Wolf and Firebrand's human counterparts here, saw a very blue character in the red outfit, standing on two legs, not four, going very fast. I mean, look at me in my Sonichu form. Very blue. So,
Okay, so there is the Cold Town comment, which gives credence to the possibility that Chris did write the dream earlier. He's mentioning Team Fortress 2 as well, and thinks that a blue fast character in the game is kind of like Sonichu, so I guess he does have some knowledge about it that I wasn't aware of.
And even some of you found that very hard to swallow, and yet the one who really found it hardest to swallow, he's been breaking the fourth wall a lot. You done succotash.
Okay, so it sounds like someone just said something in the background. Listen again. If you watch the full video, this is at the 6-minute and 30-second mark. It was definitely a male voice. I'm going to play it again. Who could that be? Okay, so, new mystery. Who was that? If you have a theory, leave it below, because it sounded like an adult male, so it's not the Teen Troon Squad, and it's obviously not the idea guy, because Chris has parted ways with him. So, is it the captain? Is it someone just visiting Chris's house, like a repairman? I don't know, but that could be a huge hint, a huge clue in explaining what is going on. So, I want to talk to people about that. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe for this weekly Chris Chan update. I also will occasionally do other Chris Chan videos, and I'm planning a live stream shortly with other people who might want to talk about Chris. If that's something that you're interested in participating in, you can contact me on Twitter at GIBI_Devon, which is spelled DEVON. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to @ReworkExistence on Twitter, who's drawn my new YouTube profile picture. My old one was horrible. I made it like 3 years ago, and I wanted to get rid of it ever since. It terrified me. It gave me nightmares to look at, but this new one is amazing. So please follow Rework Existence on Twitter. If you have a project you want, like you want an avatar on YouTube, you want channel art, you want something like that, please contact them. They were super easy to work with, super nice person, and I seriously could not give higher praise if I wanted to.